Hello everyone, I am here today with a new video and this one is a flip through. I have completed day 3 of my New York trip from November 2024. So that's what you're going to see today. And actually on day 4, I left. And my flight I think was like at 10 something. So really all I did was sleep in, get up, go to the airport. That's it. So I actually have one layout that's from JFK because it was decorated. Not when I came in, but it was when I left. So you'll see that, but that's the only thing I had for day 4. So what we're doing here is day 3, and it was kind of an unusual day. Because I have been to New York so frequently, I decided to do a little day trip for part of the time when I was there because I wanted to go to the art museum that's on the Yale University campus, so I had to go up to Connecticut. It's about an hour and a half ride by train from New York. You leave from Moynihan, which is part of Penn Station. So you leave from there, and then you can also take a regional train. I chose to take Amtrak because I'm part of their, it's like I have their guest rewards. So, and I have status on Amtrak because I use it quite a bit. So I specifically wanted Amtrak so that I could get more points for it. So that's why I chose to do it that way, but you could do it by using a regional train instead if you want to have a cheaper way to do it, and that's totally fine. It works just as well. But you can see here I did a screenshot of my ticket here. So I left about 10, got there at 11:45. So actually, oh sorry, it's an hour and 45 minutes. That is doing the northeast regional, which is the slower train. If you were to book Amtrak, you might also see Acela. That is the high-speed train. They are two different things, so just be aware of that. Over here, I chose a card that said sweater weather because it was fall. And when I first booked the trip, I was a little concerned because I didn't want to have to bring a big jacket. But when I was looking at the weather patterns and I looked at statistical data from previous years, I'm like, oh, it's actually going to be fairly warm at the start of November. And it was. All I had to do was put on kind of a larger cable knit sweater, cardigan over a short sleeve shirt, and I was totally fine all day. So here I am on the train, in my seat there, and you can see I used some train elements that I had, pieces of ephemera. And then this is inside the New Haven station. It is gorgeous. The pictures do not do it justice, but trust me, that ceiling, one of a kind, is awesome. And then here I found a map of the city, and granted, I was pretty much just going to Yale and then coming back. I did end up going off the campus for a little bit because I went over to the bookstore and then I just looked into some little stores that were in the area, but for the most part I pretty much stayed on the Yale campus. But you can see the layout of the city here, and then I tried to use sequins that matched all the different colors that were in there, and I got lucky that I saw a huge mural on the side of this building and it had similar colors, so I was able to put those back to back, use sequins that would work for both sides. And then I just slapped this on there as an extra to fill up that ugly space kind of in the parking lot, and that's it, but I love the way it looks. So I decided to roam the campus a little bit before going to the art museum, so that's why you're seeing just some of the buildings on campus first, and they were so beautiful. You can definitely tell it's architecture that's influenced by England, and given that it's in New England, it makes sense. There's no way you could mistake it when you're on this campus. And then it's rare that I would do a 2-page spread anymore. Most of them seem to work out to be mostly single-page spreads, but here I actually was able to do one because all of this kind of went together. These were all parts that were kind of off the main quad on the campus, so you can see some of the different buildings. I loved this, and you know how quintessential New England to have this beautiful brick building and then a bicycle parked outside. So I have that, and then I found this card where I thought the colors matched really well, and I just did some ink splattering on it to bring in more of the brown and green tones that were in there. And then just more building photos. This was, I mean, look at that building, it's stunning. So I had to showcase that. And then I had this wood veneer piece for quite a while, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. And then I forgot that I had it. I should have put it on the opening page, but I forgot I had it. Came upon it once I started doing layouts, and I'm like, you know what, I could ink that up a little bit with some brown ink, and I think it would go well here. And I think that worked out really, really nicely. So after I had explored the campus quite a bit, I think I spent maybe an hour just walking around campus and looking at buildings. Then I was ready to actually go into the art museum. So that's what I have here, and you can see on the sign, I was right on the edge of campus at that point, and so there were shops. I did go down there later, and then the university. So went back on campus a little bit to get to the art museum, and here you can see, oh, that's right, they call it art gallery, not museum, art gallery. But if you're anywhere close to this, or you're in New York for an extended amount of time and you can do a day trip, I highly recommend it, especially if you're an art person. And you're going to see some of the wonderful things that I got to see here. So this is pretty close to the front. When you walk in, you kind of go into this area that has windows all on one side. So the light coming in is fantastic. And you can kind of see that here. Coming in through the windows, it's reflected there. And it throws off some, odd patterns. But I feel like that makes it even more interesting to look at the art in that area when that's happening. And this is part of that area as well. Lots of cool little intricate details. You definitely have to look up. You can't just look at eye level in this particular part of the gallery. You have to look up because you will definitely see more. And the pictures that I took really suited themselves well to this kind of a page protector. Always using 2x2, like that is always difficult for me. But when I have pictures like this, it's so refreshing because then I'm like, I know I can make it fit in these pockets and it'll actually look okay. So I was very happy that I got to use a somewhat unusual page protector style that I don't get to use a lot. And once I was done there, I moved on to some other areas, and I really just tried to put my photos together by color. Like if they had colors, style obviously, but colors. If they worked well together, I wanted to put them together. So that's why these two are here. And all of these, I kept the embellishing very, very simple because the artwork is the main attraction. I don't want to lose focus on that. So really, I did a lot of phrase strips, some basic stickers, nothing too crazy. So here, obviously, I made it to the Impressionist area next. And this is actually paper that I had. I just printed it out digitally, but I resized it to be only 3x4. And I think it came out pretty well. You can tell kind of the resizing, the distortions, are a little off in terms of dimension, but not enough where I wouldn't use it. Over here again, this is the same painting. I just did a close-up here so that you could really see the brush strokes. And I love all the purple. And luckily, I had a phrase strip that said painting, and it was already purple. So, score. I hit a couple of other areas as well. So you can see here. And then I put some more of these. I had a ton from the Impressionist area. So I knew I wanted these to be smaller to fit in the 2x2. So I kind of had to put this in the middle in order to get this to work. So I have this side. And again, I just used phrase strips there from a museum set that I have. And then over here are the rest. And this was a 3x4 card. I just cut out the middle where it said this. And then I did some gold ink splattering. Same here. This is a stamp I have. So I stamped that, did the splattering. And I chose not to do anything on any of the other pockets. And I think that was the right choice. So again, I spent a couple of hours here, but when I was done, I walked out on the rest of the campus again. It's fairly large, so I wanted to see some other things. So I have those documented here, but all of the buildings are lovely. Like these windows, hopefully the camera picks it up, you can see like the style of them. It's very New England, like you don't see that a lot where I live in the Minneapolis area. So I had to go and look at all of these beautiful things. Then it was getting time for me to leave. The day was wearing on and I had to make sure that I didn't miss my train. So I just walked around another little area, kind of a smaller quad area around campus, and it was very yellow with all the leaves still on the trees and some on the ground, and I was wearing a yellow sweater. So I matched. I didn't intend that, but it worked out. So I matched. So I decided, I'll take a selfie. And then I had this cute little card, and I decided just to put a couple of little chipboard leaves on it to enhance that. And I think that worked out well. And then it was back to the city. So once I was back in Manhattan, I went right from the train station to figure out my dinner plans. And I wanted to go to Hell's Kitchen because I knew it would be relatively close to the theater that I needed after that for my show. And I really had no plan. I'm like, I'm just gonna walk till I see something. And actually, before this restaurant, I tried to go in somewhere else. It was a Thai place. I don't remember the name of it now. It was relatively small. That is the first time I've ever been turned away as a single person from eating somewhere. They're like, we're full and it's probably going to be an hour. So I said, oh, sorry, can't do it. I have a show, so that's not going to happen. But otherwise, as a single person, I have never been turned away from a restaurant ever. So kind of a unique experience. And I ended up here, which was fabulous. So it worked out okay. So I ordered a lot more, but you can see here, these were some of my choices that I had. It's a great dim sum place. So if you like that, you're looking for something like that in New York, you can go here. So then it was on to my second show of this trip. And this was one I was actually looking more forward to because this was called Swept Away, and all the music was done by the Avett Brothers, and I love them. And it was based on one of their older albums. They kind of wrote the show around that album, and that album is based on a true story that happened of a shipwreck. So that's kind of the premise of it. And I loved it. I loved how they had the theater decorated. And then they had, as part of their merch, you could get a sticker set. And I bought those. And so I've used two. I've used two of them here, so you'll see them. But that's one of them. But I tried to match this sort of teal color in everything because it was in the theater, on the marquee, on the playbill. And then over here, here's the second sticker. These are lyrics from one of the songs, and so I chose to pull the rest of those lyrics, or at least part of them, and just type them out in Project Life on a card, and then printed it out, cut them apart, and put them on here, and that's all I wanted there. But I love the way it looks. Absolutely love the way it turned out. And over here, I didn't want to do a lot with these because, again, it's busy, and I've got pattern paper. So I just chose one little piece of ephemera from a digital theater set I have, and it's very appropriate because it talks about how theater is fleeting. It's not like a movie where you can go rewatch it and it will be exactly the same. Theater is different every night. Things happen sometimes, and so it just lives in your memory. And this show did not make it long on Broadway, sadly, so I'm glad that I have it in my memory and I got to have that fleeting experience. So after the show, I just went back to my hotel. It was late. I just basically relaxed and then went to bed. The next day, again, like I said, all I had time for was to go to the airport. So you get to see JFK, but at least it was decorated when I flew out. So I had time. I got there a little early. So I had time to just walk around, and I got some photos of the decorations, and they were cute. So I made that the closing, and then I had sparkly letters, and I had these letters still available. So I thought, well, why not use them? What else am I going to use them for? So I put them on there. Just a couple of phrase strips, and that's it. So here is another album for New York that is completely finished. Thanks for watching.